Welcome back. You're watching Hard Copy, coming to you from our studios in Abuja. We're talking about Nigeria's democracy and the journey so far. Dr. Nwankwo, a lawyer and an activist, is my guest tonight. Well, let's quickly talk about elections. They're a big part of our democracy, and you have monitored since at least 1999 when you founded the Transition Monitoring Group, and now you're co-convener or convener of the Situation Room. What would you say about our elections? Where would you say we are right now? Are we making progress?
Certainly we're making progress. I think that up till 2007, the country's election was a crisis situation, especially in this republic, the Fourth Republic. But with the 2007 elections and the outcry over the way it was conducted, we did have a president who, of blessed memory, who set up a reform process headed by Justice Mohammed Uwais. And the
Ex-President Yar'Adua, right?
Ex-President Yar'Adua, and the Justice Uwais Committee made a lot of recommendations that were taken on board, and Tahiru Jega, professor, became the chairman of the commission and has built a lot in terms of institutionalizing the processes of INEC, and he's been succeeded by a chairman as well who seems quite determined as well to build on the legacies of Professor Jega. We have seen elections being conducted, some very credible, some with some question marks as well, but really overall I think there has been some progress with the electoral process.
A couple of days ago we heard a number of civil societies met over the upcoming Ekiti and Osun elections, and they were raising concerns about security and even the freeness and fairness of the process. You, I'm sure, looking forward to monitoring those elections as well. What concerns do you share?
Well, the convening of the civil society meeting was by the Situation Room, and a lot of the groups who were in the room were very concerned about the security services. We worry about the need for them to be non-partisan in carrying out their jobs and their responsibility. We expressed concern that security services, the police, the State Security Service, and other agencies that may be involved in conducting elections, as INEC may request, need to not damage the work that stakeholders in election would like to do.
What indications are raising these concerns for you?
Well, I think one of the concerns is the atmosphere that has been created in the country. It's difficult at this stage to say, yes, this is it, but when you get the sense that agencies of government may be acting in ways that may raise concerns about their partisanship, when you get concerns that opponents of ruling government may be targeted, and we have seen some of this happening. Certainly, if any member of the opposition is involved in a crime, it would be a serious issue, just like even members of the ruling government. But certainly the security agencies need to be very, very circumspect about not appearing to give the impression of bias at this time. And we're watching several of these issues going on. It's instructive the way that some of this have played out, and what we are saying is that from what we are seeing, we are worried.
Have the security agencies responded to your worry?
Well, we are continuing conversations, and we're hoping that we would have meetings with them to raise these concerns. What we want from them is assurance that they will be non-partisan, because if they are partisan, the credibility of the electoral process that they should be helping guard would be destroyed, and everybody would really feel very sad and would lose the process if they do not respond to the concerns that have been expressed at this time about the fear of partisanship. But certainly the security services and the police particularly has been a very good partner of the Nigeria Civil Society Situation Room and groups that are observing elections, and we want to continue to build on that partnership. But that partnership has to be built on the basis of responsibility, of non-partisanship, both on the side of observers as well as on the side of all of the other stakeholders.
Now, there are those who argue that democracy generally requires a certain level of education for citizens to be able to participate fully. They argue that it would seem that democracy is just happening at a certain level, and for the general populace, for the electorate most times, elections is all about democracy. And after that, after we voted, that's it. You know, we really do not have the education or the enlightenment to be able to continue, you know, asking or demanding good governance from those who are leading us. And so you find that maybe things are just happening at a particular level. How do you think we can further, first of all, do you agree with that definition? And do you think that we can further deepen the process of democracy despite our challenges?
That's not a definition. That's concerns being expressed. I think elections do not constitute democracy, and we've seen around the world elections that are held that do not constitute democracy. Tyranny continues to reign in some of these countries that define themselves as democracies where periodic elections are held. Democracy means accountability, means responsibility of elected officials to citizens, representation by those who are elected to represent citizens and constituencies. And when we don't see that, then elections mean nothing. So beyond citizens being able to come out and vote and determine who takes particular positions, and that's why we're concerned about making sure that that process is free and fair, those who are elected and those who are appointed by those that were elected have a responsibility to citizens to deliver on expectations, deliver on making sure that freedoms that exist are not trampled upon, and that's one of the most fundamental bases for democracy: freedom, development, responding to the economic needs of citizens, responding to the challenges of citizens who would want to be employed by government. We stay here, for instance, and I'm going to bring in the examples of the US. We stay here, for instance, we make assumptions about President Trump. But when you go to the US is having the lowest level of unemployment in 50 years under President Trump, meaning that he is concerned, the government in the US is concerned about how to expand the economic opportunities for Americans. And when he says America first, I look at Nigeria and I want to see the Nigerian government say Nigeria first. I want to see the Nigerian government look at how to bring out all of the possibilities that the energies of our peoples should bring to the fore to expand our development and economy.
How hopeful are you about our democracy? Some people say it's still fragile, but some people say, how can we be describing it as fragile 19 years after? Are you hopeful?
I am hopeful that the citizens, our people want freedom, want a conducive environment for them to be able to exercise their best abilities. I am worried about the actors in the political scene and the way they manage the politics, the way they manage the economy, the way they fail to deliver on citizens' expectations. Every government must ask itself, what is the situation today different from what it was when I came in? If you go to the US, President Trump will tell you that unemployment is at its lowest in 50 years. When he came in, it wasn't this low. So this government, whether at the legislative level or at the executive level in both the state and the federation, must ask themselves, what was the condition of Nigeria when I came in 2015? What is the situation today? If it hasn't improved, then it's a failure on all sides.
It depends on who's doing the rating, because I know that any government you speak to will tell you just how well they're doing and how it is their position that is making things, you know, look like it's out of proportion, whatever defects they have.
No, please, no one should say that conditions have improved in this country. I think people have become more desperate. Unemployment has increased. Insecurity has worsened. So no one, unless, you know, sometimes people believe that by repeating a particular story repeatedly, it would come to be accepted and believed. I think if a government believes that the more they repeat stories of success, the more people should assume that they have succeeded. That government is not being truthful to the people. There might be challenges, and the government can explain these challenges, but the government must also work to overcome these challenges, and that's what is missing.
Well, we have to thank you, Mr. Clement Nwankwo, for coming on Hard Copy.
Thank you.
And that's where we'll leave it tonight. We hope to continue online. Do tweet at CTV Hardcopy or send a mail to hardcopy@channelstv.com. Thank you for watching. I'm Nwankwo Ogun Yusuf. Good night.